here we are. Palm Sunday. I'm going to be using 3 volumes, plus the volume called Sandy. That's a joke. But I'd like for you to know these things because these are resources. They are precious resources from a long-time Unity library. And obviously there are many other resources that I'll be using. But I thought for Palm Sunday, as we move through this Holy Week, is what we call it in Christianity, I used these 3 volumes. One we've referred to before, Keep a True Lent by Charles Fillmore, which is one of our co-founders, for those of you who do not know or unfamiliar with Unity. Myrtle and Charles Fillmore co-founded the Unity movement. I'm also using by Ernest Wilson, The Week That Changed the World. And this is an old classic, and it walks us through day by day, Palm Sunday through Easter Sunday, the journey that Jesus took. And then lastly, Elizabeth Sand Turner, who is an old writer, Unity New Thought writer, and this is Your Hope of Glory. So those 3 I recommend to you as volumes that you may want to use as you walk through Holy Week, especially if you like the metaphysical interpretation of what we are walking through. And many of you are metaphysicians. Others who may be sitting in this community this morning may say, well, what the heck is metaphysics? Now, we're not going to have a metaphysics lesson here this morning, but generally I like to say that metaphysics is beyond the physical and is greater than the physical. And that's the Cliff Notes. We say that a lot. When in reality, metaphysics is an interpretation of how we look at the Bible from an allegorical and metaphorical point of view. That's a short snapshot. We like to look at the Bible in particular, and the parables and the stories and the teachings from a metaphysical point of view and apply that to practical living, to practical. We call ourselves practical Christians, do we not? And so with this particular time that we've had, this exploration that we've had called Lent, and many of you have walked these last weeks through Lent, and this is the Sunday, Palm Sunday, the Sunday that you may know from a child when you had palms. I certainly had palms in Sunday school. In fact, I got in my world of trouble with my palms. You know, we started having sword fights with palms. No. And so that was one recollection of palms. Some of you may have others. But they symbolize, from the biblical story that's told, the joy of the people following Jesus, their Savior, their King, to Jerusalem. And they threw palms down, as well as their coats, their garments, as a means of expressing their ultimate joy in the fact that now Jesus was their King, and we were going to Jerusalem to be recognized. This was the King, the Savior. And Jesus knew what the entire celebration was about. He knew not only were we having a Hosanna moment, so to speak, a Savior moment, when humankind said, this is our King. But not all humankind said, this is our King, as you know the story. And so Jesus knew that in this week, this Holy Week, he started on Palm Sunday, as the story goes, and he was going to walk through this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Last Supper, Friday, Gethsemane, trial, conviction, crucifixion, and then we have Saturday, Holy Saturday, a day of reflection, a day of quiet, a day of passing over, for this was also the Jewish holiday of Passover. And then we have Easter Sunday, the resurrection, which we will have next week. But I'm here to remind you, and some folks take a little umbrage to this, so hang on to your seats, but it's the truth. There is no resurrection without a crucifixion. And some folks don't like that thought because we don't like the crucifixion part. We get all wound up in that whole crucifying. When in fact, if you look at it metaphysically, what we are doing is we are crucifying, we are letting go of what no longer serves us. What habit, what thought, what relationship no longer serves us. And when we have a crucifixion, we actually say, I'm letting it go. I'm giving it up, and I'm not judging myself as I do that. I am saying, yes, I am resurrected, and I am free of the binds and the bondage of poor thinking. Error thinking is what we call it. Sin, some people call it. It's when we have developed a way of being that no longer serves us, and we are ready to make a change. So you see, what happens on Palm Sunday is we are very, very excited by the fact that we know we have the ability to do this. What we're always not sure of is, do we have the consciousness to do it? Are we in a right mode of thinking? We talked one Sunday about having feet to our prayers, and I suggested to you that when you have feet to your prayers, you are then willing to change how you look at something. Really change it, not just give it lip service. And when we suddenly discover, oh, wow, that's a good place to be. I think I can change my thinking. We are very, very excited by that. And we feel ourselves filled with hope. And that's the hope of Palm Sunday. The hope that, yes, I can change my thinking, I can change my way of being. And I'm happy to know that. But as we walk through Holy Week, we